just because you throw a jab doesn't mean you're a boxer. And just because you roll doesn't mean you found your inner peace. Sawadee Cup and welcome to another episode here for Fight Principles Podcast. And today's episode, Fighting Styles Aren't Personalities. Why do I talk about this? Well, let me set the scene, all right? Because we all know the guy. An aggressive striker, loud voice, zero chill. Or the BJJ guy who acts like he's one roll away from enlightenment. In martial arts and in life, we often confuse style with self. We think the way we fight says everything about who we are. But here's the truth. Fighting styles are tools, not identities. And when you cling to them too tightly, you stop growing. So let's talk about what happens when your style becomes your prison and how to break out. Let me paint a picture by naming a few fighters you might know and show how they transcended style and afterwards be related to real life. Now, the first one, and we had a whole episode on him, has to be George St. Pierre, GSP. I'll call him the style collector. Why? Because he started with Kyokushin karate, then he picked up wrestling, then BJJ, then boxing. He never identified as a wrestler or a striker, just as someone building a system. Yeah, he actually said, and I quote, "The more you learn, the more you realize how little you know." So GSP didn't care about style loyalty. He cared about solving problems. Wrestling helps? Great, take him down. Striking helps? Great. Learn the back kick from Joe Rogan and light people up on the feet. Fantastic. Yeah, he didn't care what he's doing as long as it leads to success. That leads me to another example. That leads me to the Lyoto Machida era. And now I butchered it, but I had to laugh already because that's a famous quote, I think, by Joe Rogan. It's like, "Welcome to the Machida era," after Lyoto Machida won like a crazy impressive fight in the UFC. But eventually something happened. Yeah, so at first, Machida brought Shotokan karate to MMA. Okay? And at first, he was untouchable. Yeah, people couldn't figure him out. But then eventually they did. And for a long time, he didn't adjust. Yeah, he stayed loyal to the form even when it stopped working. And that eventually, kind of, together with age, became his downfall. So in this case, style became a cage. And to end on a high note, look at the current women's champion, Zhang Weili, who trains here in Thailand a lot. I would call her style fluid adaptation or adaptation. Yeah, she trained in Sanda, kickboxing, BJJ, but what makes her so successful is that she does not stick to one mode. And I'm sorry, Bruce Lee, but it fits so well here. She fights like water, responsive, unpredictable. And her success comes, similar to GSP, from combining tools, not over-identifying with any. Like, I'm a striker, I'm a BJJ. No, whatever works, whatever you need to do in the moment. So now, having you given those three examples, let's jump into the fight principles breakdown and see what we get wrong about style. So here's the thing. Styles are starting points, not self-definition. Yeah, a style should be a launch pad, not a label. But the problem Yeah, people join a style and build their whole personality around it. BJJ, right? Chill, spiritual. Muay Thai, tough, stoic. Karate, disciplined, traditional. But none of that is inherent. It's what we project onto the style. And now this leads me to the real life application. Your job, your degree, your hobby is not your personality. Yeah, are you letting a label limit your growth? Like, for example, I am a creative, I don't do spreadsheets. Oh, yeah, really? Yeah, maybe you're just avoiding discomfort? Why don't you do it? Because you can't? Yeah, your identity is bigger than your specialization. Step out of that zone. That leads me to my second point. Style should solve problems, not protect ego. Yeah, your style should evolve based on the challenge, not your comfort zone. And many fighters stop progressing because they cling to the style they started with. It becomes about defending their approach, not about finding what works. And if you look at real life, that happens there too, right? Are you ignoring better tools because they don't match your self-image? Do you refuse structure because you're a, quote, free spirit? Are you stuck managing teams one way because that's just how you lead? Yeah, good styles win, great styles adapt. Adapt. One more time, sorry, Bruce Lee, but be like water. There's a reason why this quote is so famous. And remember that you're not the style, you're the operator. Yeah, a hammer doesn't define the carpenter. So the same BJJ that's meditative for one person might be aggressive for another. One person uses Muay Thai to calm down, another uses it to get hyped. It's not the art, it's the intent behind it. So in real life, right, stop asking what's the best method. Start asking what outcome am I trying to produce and what do I need right now to get there. Yeah, for example, one week you need structure, another week you need space. That's not inconsistency, that's awareness, and that's good. Yeah, you're not your training style. You're the one shaping your own style. That said, switching styles is not betrayal, it's growth. The loyalty should be to your progress, not your uniform. And martial arts history is full of crossovers and reinvention. Yeah, Bruce Lee abandoned tradition to create Jeet Kune Do. Yeah, fighters leave gyms when they plateau, not out of disloyalty, but out of necessity. Yeah, style loyalty is fine until it keeps you from evolving. Yeah, real life. Are you staying in an environment or system just because you started there? Yeah, loyalty without growth becomes self-sabotage. For example, staying in a job just because you, quote, owe it to your boss, even when you're burning out. Yeah, the only thing you owe is that you owe yourself improvement, not allegiance to your past. That leads me to my last point in the breakdown. Style is temporary, principles are permanent. There's a reason this podcast is called Fight Principles. Your style changes with age, injury, context, but principles stay. Your guard will change. Your speed will drop. Oh, did I realize that? Your strength will fade. But timing, awareness, discipline, those are forever. Look into real life. Build your system on values, not tactics. Tactics change. Identity evolves. But principles guide every single shift. Yeah, for example, whether you're running a business or training for a fight, clarity, patience, discipline, awareness, always gonna be in style. So change your style when needed. Protect your principles always. So wrapping this up, yeah, be the fighter, not the format. So don't fall in love with the vehicle. Fall in love with the direction you're headed. The goal is not to become the perfect striker, perfect grappler, perfect technician. The goal is to become dangerous in any room because you're adaptable. If your identity is built around one style, then one shift in conditions can break you. But if you're principle based, you'll bend, not break. Bruce Lee, and it's the last time I steal from Bruce Lee in this episode, he said, and you know that one, absorb what's useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. And to say it in the fight principle words, I'd say a fighter isn't the style he wears, it's the problem he solves. So remember, you're not your stance. You're not your belt. You're not even your lineage. You are the one who keeps showing up. You are the one who chooses to adapt. So switch styles, switch systems, but don't switch off the part of you that's always learning. This was Fight Principles this week. Don't just find your style, find your freedom, and find the next episode here next week. Until then, stay safe, take care, chase your freedom. We'll talk next week. Saudi Cup.